Let's take an honest look at what happened yesterday for Florida. Final score was 36-39, losing to Arkansas. It hurts. It hurts for a number of reasons, for the way it happened, for the spot in which it happened, for who it happened against. We've got a lot to unpack with this one. What we do here on Sunday mornings is, one, produce a ton of content and get after everything that happened the day before. The second thing we do here is tell the truth. And so there's going to be a lot of narratives out there around Florida, and Billy Napier's not the guy, and they've got the sky falling and all this. And like, some of that is fair criticism. Some of that, I think, is a little bit of being prisoner of the moment. We're going to do our best here to take an honest look, honest assessment. First things first, make sure you're subscribed. One, because we're pushing towards 200,000 subs, and we want y'all a part of it. We've had a lot of y'all from Gator Nation join us, so we appreciate y'all so much for that. Second part of this, make sure you are following me on Instagram and on Twitter at JD Piquel. Tweet at me, DM me. Let me know your thoughts around this game yesterday, because the best part about this show is the interaction that y'all provide. So let me know what y'all think about that and what you thought about yesterday. So here's my thoughts on this. I think this game hurts for two different reasons. The first of which being, if you're Florida sitting at 5 wins, looking at the rest of their schedule, this was the one that you were supposed to get, right? At home, Arkansas is kind of limping through their schedule, and also the way it happened. In overtime, it was in the swamp. You had a field goal to walk it off that you missed. Like, if that field goal goes through, we have a totally different segment this morning about Florida and finding a way to win, and it wasn't your day. You had the black unis on, you got it done, and like, one play makes the difference here. And so I want us to kind of focus on that here as we go through the rest of this segment here. One play changes all the talking points. One kick going in, and now you don't want to focus on just that one kick, because there's a lot of points within this game that could have gone differently, that would have changed even having to take that kick. But I want us to just kind of keep that in mind. Don't let a kick being missed determine what you think about Florida the rest of the way, because that's one play within a football game, and there were a bunch of others. So when you look at, honestly, the way that Florida played yesterday, you scored 36. Like, in a lot of spots, you played well enough to win. Graham Mertz, almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Probably a winning stat line in most spots. Trevor Etienne, 6.7 yards a carry. Typically good enough to win. Eugene Wilson, he's got to be the brightest spot of this entire season for Florida. And there's a lot of bright spots, to be honest with you, with what Florida has done to this point. But I'm just saying, with what Eugene Wilson has been so far, y'all, he is a star. He is a star in the college football world as a true freshman. And I don't think we're overstating that. So it is Tell the Truth Sunday. Even though you played well enough to win in a lot of areas, there was also just some things that, quite frankly, you can't do and expect to win. And the first of which being an issue that's kind of been an issue for a lot of the season for Florida, and that's the run defense. The run defense and playing well in space are the prices of admission in all of college football, obviously, but it gets dialed up in the SEC by nature of what these teams bring on the line of scrimmage week in and week out in that conference, especially with Arkansas. They allow 200 yards rushing with KJ Jefferson, with Sanders. Like, it's too much to be able to allow them to operate at the strength of their offense and expect to win. And also, there were some things that you can't do when it comes to the way that they played the game. You can't fumble the ball that turns into a defensive touchdown. You can't miss that field goal. You can't force 3 fumbles and then only recover 1. All those little things, they're little moments in the game that are a tremendous swing either way. And I don't want to point to any one play, because that one field goal is the play that you point to and say, well, if that goes in, it changes the game. Again, a lot of little plays within the game that make that field goal probably even, 1, probably not even have to take it. 2, maybe it changes the score to begin with when you take that field goal. But at the end of the day, and Tell the Truth Sunday, there were some obvious governors on this Florida team in this spot that kept you from winning that football game. And so it hurts for the reasons I just said, but I think we also, on Tell the Truth Sunday, we can't be prisoner of the moment and say, well, Billy Napier should be fired. He's not the right guy. He's this, he's that. We're awful. Like, let it hurt. Be emotional. That's what we're supposed to do as fans. That's why we love college football Saturdays. That's why we live for these 12 Saturdays during the fall. Like, that's why we love it. Be emotional, for sure. But after we get that out of our system, we got to come back down to earth and use the proper context. What is the proper context? Proper context, it's year 2. Okay, it's year 2. And in this spot, played well enough in a number of ways to win. We're still in a position to win the game with that kick. And again, if that kick goes through, we change the entire way we talk about this game for Florida. I would say this again, Billy Napier is there for a reason. He's not there because they were knocking it out of the park before we got there. He's there because he's trying to get this thing on the right track. And we understand this too. This year for Florida was always about trajectory. And I'm not here to be your neighborhood hope dealer or sell you any hopium. Like, I'm just saying, when we look at this game, it's a horrible loss. No way around it. But do you just make a definitive statement about Billy Napier as a head coach because you lost to Arkansas in overtime and missed a kick to win the game? No. I think that's a little bit irresponsible when it comes to this entire outlook on the Billy Napier era going forward. So it's a gut punch. But how do you respond to that? And I don't mean to be cliche, but like, you're at LSU, who I hope you have Jaden Daniels in that game if you're LSU, because I think all college football fans hope Jaden Daniels can go. At the time of us this morning on a Sunday, we don't know anything about his health. We'll see if he's available, but you're at LSU, at Missouri, and you got Florida State. This year was always about getting to a bowl game. Like, you want to do more than that, of course, but like, if you could get to a bowl game, it felt like that would be a success. If you could win 7 games, that would be a success. That's still very much so on the table. Now, the road is definitely steep. This was the one that you wanted. This was the one that you could say, okay, we get that Arkansas game, then we steal one of those next 3. Well, now you got to go and win 2 out of those next 3 if you want to get to 7. But if you can steal one of those, I talk about like snapshots and album cover moments for a season. A win against any of those teams would be that, to be clear. By nature of what we've seen from this Florida team, they will not roll over. They will not play dead. They're going to fight for Billy Napier. That's just who they are. That's the buy-in they have cultivated. And we've seen that many times. Regardless of a win or a loss, they play for Billy Napier. So if they can win one of those games, again, package that up, sell it to recruits, build for the future. It's a horrible loss. You don't excuse it. You don't say, great, we'll come back next week and just kind of, doesn't matter. Forget about it. Doesn't matter. That's not what you do here. But you do take an honest assessment and say there's a lot to build off of. There's a lot that has to get corrected that's going to keep us from getting to where we want to go. There's a lot of things defensively right now and plays we didn't make offensively that are the hole in the boat that are allowing us to take on quite a bit of water. But I don't think those are things that are just unfixable. And again, those aren't things that we shouldn't have had an eye to when it came to Billy Napier's first, or rather his second year now in Gainesville. The over-under win total was 5.5. They're sitting at 5 with 3 games left. Tough opponents for sure. But this Florida team's scrappy. They'll respond. And I'm excited to see how they respond because, again, that will determine what they are going forward under Billy Napier. That will determine a lot of the offseason feel around Billy Napier. I think it's still way too early to say what he is or what he isn't as the head coach there because they've overperformed at this point in the year. That was just one that's going to hurt for a little bit because of the spot, because of the opponent, because of the nature of it, and because of the fact that they played well enough to win at certain points. So, with all that being said, we'll talk a lot about Florida going forward, a lot of big games. Make sure you subscribe, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Let me know on those platforms. Follow me and let me know. What did you think of this game? How do you feel after this game if you're a Florida fan? Curious to hear, and we'll talk about it more going forward. Hey, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all, man. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.